Here on Kiwi, joining us to talk opinions and things that are happening at the moment with Russell Brown at publicaddress.net, Media 7 Show, TVNZ7. Morning, Russell.
Good morning.
The Urewera 4 are free.
Yeah, well, for the time being, the possibility remains that the police will seek to retry the organised criminal group charge. I really hope they don't. I think everyone needs to move on from this now.
What actually happened? Could they not get a majority verdict? What happened?
They couldn't reach. They couldn't even reach a majority verdict in the end, which would have, I think, been 10 out of 12. And they came back to the judge yesterday afternoon, said they couldn't reach it. He sent them back to say, basically have another go. And eventually they could not reach a. So we've got no idea what the vote was within the jury. The
public might be quite confused about this because most of the media reporting on it was, fairly damning-looking stuff with, covert surveillance videos of people toting guns and talk of, revolution and that sort of stuff. So the public would be quite confused, I'd imagine. Yeah,
and that stuff did all happen, and it annoys me. Well, I suppose at this stage more amuses me. Tama Easy talking to Mark Sainsbury outside the court before the verdict yesterday afternoon still didn't have a good answer to the fairly simple question, what were you doing?
Yeah, you're right.
And basically smirked and changed the subject. I don't think these guys could seriously be regarded as terrorists, but they were not heroes either, as some of their friends have been saying. They were dickheads.
Yeah.
And I think there was a genuine possibility of someone getting hurt rather than the state being overthrown. And I think that alone did warrant the interest of the police. I don't think the police covered themselves in glory at all. They muffed the collection of their evidence. They got so fixated with terrorism charges that the whole case was hung on that.
Yeah.
And when the Solicitor General did not approve those, they couldn't use most of their evidence.
And so did they need to prove that they were definitely going to go and do something?
Yeah. You'd have to ask a lawyer exactly what the standard of proof is. Well, the details are for qualifying as an organised criminal group.
Yeah.
But the jury clearly could not find them organised, basically, I think.
Perhaps I look forward to a future episode of the court report, maybe.
Yeah. I think that will be where it'll be interesting. But everyone's still, in a way, has to tread fairly carefully because until the police say we're not going to retry this, you've got another future jury that could be prejudiced. And I think that's possibly why a lot of the coverage has been quite restrained.
Yeah.
But I really hope that the police don't do this. I really was thinking about it this morning. I think no one comes out of this well. I think for all their high-minded protestations, the activists look like idiots. The police look like idiots. I think they really blew their investigation. And I think in particular the Fairfax papers, who published some pretty lurid stuff about this when the story broke, will have to look at the way they were worked by their police sources. I'd actually forgotten that in the days afterwards there were reports about napalm bombs. And napalm bombs did not form any part of the police case when it finally got to court.
Yeah.
On the other hand, Molotov cocktails did. And it really is hard to reconcile the use of those and the running around they were doing, pretending to be soldiers, with the actions of peace activists.
Yeah.
I think Valerie Morse probably needs to shut up. I don't know whether you heard her report on her interview on another radio station this morning, but it started to sound really disingenuous. Basically, they were not being trained for security work in Iraq. They were playing soldiers. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, indeed. Okay, opposition is calling for Nick Smith's head. The Prime Minister John Key under pressure to put some kind of inquiry into former ACC Minister Nick Smith.
Yeah, and the extraordinary thing was that John Key yesterday declared himself relaxed or comfortable or whatever the setting was, and said that what Nick Smith had done was not a breach of the Cabinet Manual. Turns out he didn't even take advice on that, which is is actually sort of classic Key in this government. They're not big on process. And I think John Key thought that if he said it was all right, it was going to be all right. But when you look at the letter, it's quite extraordinary. And I'm pretty sure that Nick Smith, when first questioned about this letter that he wrote in support of Bronwyn Puller, said that, oh yeah, I think I wrote it on plain paper. He didn't.
No.
He wrote it on ministerial letterhead, which is absolutely extraordinary.
Which was designed, obviously, to put pressure on the decision makers within the organisation, yeah?
Yeah. It looks that way, because the first half of the letter is saying, well, I possibly couldn't say anything as about the merits of Bronwyn Puller's case, couldn't say anything as minister. But, by the way, under my ministerial letterhead, she used to be an energetic and vivacious person. So it was just... and it's not the first time Nick Smith has done particularly stupid things. He's been found guilty of contempt of court. He had to settle a defamation case out of court last year. He's a little bit of a liability, and the problem for National is that this has come up just as Nick Smith, as local government minister, has begun to front their local government reforms. And he's looking quite damaged now. So I think this is actually a bigger problem for National than they're currently admitting.
So the question that the Prime Minister always has to answer is the Minister hard-working and conscientious? Do you think he could say that he is?
Yeah, no, he probably is. I think he's quite motivated, Nick Smith. I just would absolutely question his judgment. But on the other hand, Bronwyn Puller is in some ways quite difficult to have sympathy for as well. And as, of all people, Whale Oil has pointed out, she and her support person, Michelle Bogue, have told two totally different stories about what happened in their meeting with ACC. And Bogue has granted that part of any deal was going to be the return of the thousands of the details on thousands of ACC claimants accidentally sent to Bronwyn Puller.
Yeah.
So they were holding on to this as a bargaining chip, which is pretty unethical. And Bronwyn Puller has, since denied it, so they've told two different stories. But I don't think, it's pretty hard to see her as much of a victim, frankly. It's just a rotten situation.
I think the government or the Prime Minister would rather answer questions about Marmite.
Yes, I think so. Yeah, no, he's very comfortable answering questions about Marmite. But yeah, I think the opposition parties have got a sniff of this, and it's not going to go away.
Indeed. Thank you very much, Russell.
Righto.
Cheers. Russell Brown from publicaddress.net, also the Media 7 show, TVNZ.